Hey everybody, TBC here. In my last video, I gave you a very quick overview of the rule set for this upcoming TLP server for EverQuest that launches on May 28th, 2025. In this video, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the rule set, what we can expect, and give you some of my thoughts. So we're going to get right into it, and of course, if anybody would like, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me continue to grow the channel and make content on games such as EverQuest. So let's get right on into it. So the first thing to look at with this server is they are calling it an expanded start. What does that mean? That means we're not starting in Classic or Kunark like we did on Teak. No, not even Velius. We're starting in Luclin, originally released in 2001. Luclin changed the game for a lot of players. At the time we had the Nexus, which made travel around the world a little bit more convenient. Bear in mind, we've not had a Luclin start since Celos. That's a real long time ago, and it opens up much different and varying level paths. You know, you're not going to be doing what we were doing even on Teak with Kunark. No, Luclin really does change that. So the variety that we're going to get from that, I'm all for it. I absolutely don't mind a Luclin start because we've done Classic so many times now in the past, and last year with the failure of the Tormac server really shows that currently right now there is no demand for a Classic start. So what will we get out of Luclin? Well, let's have a quick look. Well, firstly, as I already mentioned, we're getting the Nexus. The Nexus, when it first came out, I thought was really criminally underused, in so much it was replaced a year later with Planes of Power, which amped up the convenience to 1000. I always thought that the Nexus offered a balance between the convenience and still keeping that world big and making porters useful. It's also a hub zone, you both don't expire, so it's a really cool place just to kind of hang around. Another huge benefit for me is the inclusion of the bazaar. Now, I'm someone that likes to buy items, sell items, make chrono. It's part of the game, and doing that in the tunnel on a regular TLP, I don't have the time for that. I really dislike it. So to have the bazaar for me and have that convenience is again another win. Also, if you trade skill in, this is a really good place to do it because everything is kind of there. Materials, bags, bankers, you name it, it's all here. I like the fact that the bazaar is going to be in the game day one. Another benefit of being in Luclin is also having access to mounts. They're going to allow you to get around the world so much quicker. Some of them go very fast, with the ones that drop from the raid targets in Luclin. But benefits, your casters can sit down without pulling aggro, meaning they're meditating, they're getting back the mana quicker, and it's a nice little benefit of starting in Luclin that will have mounts available. Now, one of the big benefits they're saying about starting in Luclin is the inclusion of beast lords. Normally they don't come around until the server's like 6 months old, so being able to start one straight from the get-go is really good. It'd be nice to see them in the world. Looking forward to it. How much play they'll get at level 50, I don't know, because they are missing like Paragon, for example, but it's good. And of course, because we are starting in Luclin, we get access to Vashia and home of Charval. Bonus, I guess. So overall, I think it is quite positive and refreshing that we're getting a Luclin start. I have no issue with it whatsoever. Nice to do something a little bit different than Classic year after year, or even Kunark. So I'm happy with it. There are a lot of benefits. Some of the purists that really like that Classic experience might not be too happy with it, and I totally can understand why. But I think after so many years of the Classic experience, it's nice to get a TLP that's doing something just a little bit different. Another huge part of this new server is the legacy character rule set. Now, what does this mean? On the basis that if you have one character at max level, whether that's levels 50 when the server launches, any subsequent character and now persona will get a 10% XP buff. And that's cumulative up to maximum 100%. So if you have 2 characters at max level or 2 persona, you will get a 20% XP bump. So that's really good if you're someone that likes playing alts or likes different personas. It's a nice little bonus that you will get them up to that max level much faster. But there are other benefits to the legacy rule set which often go overlooked. Firstly, the ability for heirloom items. Now, what does that mean? It means even if an item is no drop, the vast majority of items can still be traded to different characters on your account through the shared bank. So that's really useful for really equipping your alts and your personas with really powerful items straight off the get-go, and straight away you're more powerful, you'll level faster, coupled with the XP buff. So if you're someone again that likes to twink or you're main changing, it's a really good catch-up mechanic and a way to get those characters up to max level faster and contribute into groups or raids or whatever it is you want to do. Now, what also comes with part of the legacy rule set is that dungeons or agents have changed. So when you spin up DZs or you spin up instances, those are character locked and not account locked as they are on most servers. Now, this is confirmed on the Luclin Launch article that this is attached to the legacy rule set. So any further future server that has legacy gets the character based lock. So this is actually really good if you're someone that does like to do raids, because in theory you can do them multiple times now a week without having different accounts. You can do it from the one account, different characters. That's a nice change. I wish somehow they could include personas into that as well, because otherwise alts is still a benefit over personas majority of the time. So a few good things to take away there. I'm fine with the legacy rule set. I think it adds something if you're someone that likes to play multiple classes and multiple characters, and clearly this is something they're targeting with this server, with us being stuck at level 50 in Luclin for such an extended period of time. They want you to go back and level alts and level personas, and that's why this rule set is coupled with that kind of longevity in Luclin. Overall, I'm fine with it. Still have issues with the amount of time spending in Luclin and the level 50 lock, but legacy rule set is again a win for me. So next up on something actually new and never done before is the resource hunter. And what they want to do is kind of amp up the old hot zones to a new level where it changes every day, and the bonuses could be something different. One day it might be increased XP in Lower Guk, the next it could be increased loot in Castle Mistmore. I mean, who knows? And they really want it to find something new and give the community, bring the community together and discovering today what is today's hot zone that you can go to for these benefits. And in theory that sounds pretty good. However, in practice, one, no one knows what these zones will be, at least until we can work out exactly what the logic is behind it, if there's a way to predict it, or if it's truly random. But also, some zones are still just not worth visiting. Even if you give me more XP, even if you give me more loot, the best zone to go to is usually the one with the highest mob density, which will get you the XP and the kills faster. And we already know what those zones are because we already go to them, and we have been going to them for years. And zones like Velks are still going to see play. Zones like Aludal obviously is going to see play. Zones like Greek's End eventually will see play. So you wouldn't necessarily even still go out of your way to go to another zone, just for a little bit more XP if it's a zone 1 you're not familiar with. 2, density of mobs isn't there, and there's plenty of zones that have that. For example, we'll be getting Old Split Paw, we'll be getting Runny Eye, Dodger King's Orb. You know, great, if there's an XP bonus there, no one's going to go to it. I think they really will have to make the bonuses worthwhile for you to go out of your way. 100% XP bonus, probably not going to cut it for some of these zones. Double loot, well, if the loot's all bad, I don't know. You've got to really make it worth my while to go out and find the zone and spend the time to go to these places. We'll see. Don't really know what will happen. I'm not really for it, not really against it. It's a big wait and see. The next feature I wanted to talk about was encounter locking. And I said before we got the news about this server that encounter locking could return, given the amount of dev time that was spent on it before and during Oakwind, as well as that they seem to like it to really cut down on customer service tickets from people dealing with toxic players. What is encounter locking? Well, as you know, in EverQuest, mobs spawn, and it's typically who does the most damage gets the kill, gets the XP, and gets the loot. Encounter locking takes that away, it becomes the thirst to engage. And on Oakwind, we definitely saw some shenanigans with that. People finding ways to break the encounter locking, or to make mobs add or steal. There were ways around it, and over time it has got better. They've worked on the code, it has improved a lot. Not saying it's completely gone away that you can't break a lock, but it is a lot better, and for the everyday player you'll never notice it. What it does save is it saves you from being run over by a train of mobs. They'll completely ignore you. So in places which are always bad for trains, Velks, Chardock, you name it, Greek's End, these places where you have whole flows of mobs running through, you're not going to have any kind of problem. They'll walk straight past you. That's a win. So there are pros, there are cons. Looking back on Oakwind, I feel like we were all a bit critical of it beforehand because it was something so different for EverQuest. It didn't feel like EverQuest. Having played on Oakwind, I am going to say it wasn't that bad. Didn't really affect me on my gameplay, didn't affect really how I play, but it did save my character a bunch of time if a train was rolling through. So yeah, there's definitely pros to it, and I can understand why they want to bring it in. Not really for it, I'm not really against it, it's just a feature of the server, and I don't think it makes or breaks this rule set. And the last thing to talk about is, of course, the level lock. We're going to be level locked to level 50 for 24 weeks. Not 4, not 8, 24. That is a crazy amount of time. And to even think that it will be almost Thanksgiving when this opens up to level 60. And then we've got 12 more weeks, as I talked about earlier, about the time in Luclin. That is way too long to be stuck at level 50, and especially with Luclin content, because let's face it, mobs in Vexfile will not be doable by a regular guild at level 50. Could they be done in open world with 300 level 50s? Maybe, just by sheer numbers and crashing the zone so the mobs don't hit and things like that. That might work, and I do expect these to go down by some method like that. But a lot of players, the vast majority, the regular hardcore guild, will not be going into Vexfile in those 24 weeks at level 50. You won't even be doing EMP at level 50. It's too hard. And a lot of guilds may even struggle with tracking on. There's some mechanics there. It hits hard. At level 50, there's very little room for ever. I've seen plenty of guilds at level 60 wipe to tracking on, bad pull, bad healing, someone doing too much damage and dragging him out. And at level 50, that's just all amplified. So this level lock is way too long, and I think it's way too harsh. Another big disadvantage is at level 50, you have 0 AA. AAs don't start until level 51. So what are you going to be doing for those 24 weeks? You are not going to be farming AAs, you're not going to be earning them. Or the only thing you can do is farm items and personas and legacy, and that's it. And I think that's too much. I don't necessarily mind the level lock in and of itself. It worked really well on Veniki. But Veniki had a few extra features that I think really helped it and created the challenge and alleviated some of the issues. And we don't have that on this server. It is pure, just lock to level 50, have at it. If they were going to do like a level 50 lock, 4 weeks max will be my say, and then increase it even to 55 for another 12, and then to 60. Just something so it feels like you've got that progression, because for 24 weeks with no progression is way too long. Don't know what they're thinking there. I'm all for slowing down that progression initially. I have no problem with that. The time in Luclin for one is too long though. 36 weeks all in all. Way too long. And then coupled with you're going to be stuck at level 50 for 24 of that. I just feel like they've gone around this kind of slow start backwards almost. If you want it to start in Luclin, great. But not for 24 weeks. No. And certainly not at level 50. That's way too much. It takes away some of the content. You know, you're not really going to be spending much time in Akiva. You're not really going to be going to the high camps in Velks probably, because for a lot of groups they'll be too hard. This level 50 level lock is a downer. I don't think it's right. I think it's an artificial way of creating a challenge where there shouldn't be one, or there's other ways to do it. And if you are going to do it, certainly not for 24 weeks. Daybreak, please relook at this and give us something tangible to work with, because level 50 for 24 weeks, I cannot stress enough, is not it. So they're my thoughts on the rule set as they've been given to us. A bit more of a deeper dive than my first initial thoughts back last week. I think this server has potential to do okay. I don't think it's going to take players away from Teak. I don't think it's going to attract the P99 crowd. Certainly attract some people that are waiting for the TLP. They don't want to do Classic again because they've done it for 50 times. And perhaps they want a bit of a calmer leveling experience, if you want to put it that way, where they have time to level alts and personas, those altaholic kind of people. And of course the people that want some challenge on raids and see what they can do at level 50. I wonder if they've done this to try and take away some players from the hero's journey, those that are looking for something new and a bit more of a challenge. That would be my guess. However, I don't think they've necessarily had the dev time to do exactly perhaps what they wanted to do. So it's kind of a mishmash of Oakwind, of Viniki, of Celos, but then really slow. I think they're going to have to revise some of this. I think what they pushed out initially won't be the server that we get come May 28th. I think some of it will change. How much though? Probably not very much. All I'm hoping is that they amend the timescales and the level lock. You do that, the server will do fine. There's a few extra things that I would like to see added, and I'm going to run through those on my next video. So keep an eye out for that. The best way to do that is by hitting that like and subscribe buttons down below. The like button really helps me continue to grow the channel, and of course subscribing will let you know the next time I put out another video. Also, let me know your comments down below. Now we've had a few days to digest this rule set, what do you think? Has your initial opinion changed? Will you be playing on this server? What more do you think Daybreak have to do to make this server viable? I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say. Otherwise, I am the Brick Canuck, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.